let me break it down for you now from the Madhhabs standpoint. And the Madhahib were many, okay? Sufyan al-Thawri was one of the greatest of the people of his time, and one of the best. If you read his biography, you'll fall in love with Sufyan al-Thawri, okay? His only thing is that he traveled so much, he moved around so much that he never really gained a student following, okay? In Egypt, there were great imams. Layth ibn Sa'd, a lion, okay, in Egypt. But the people there were so enamored with Malik that they raised up Malik, and Layth, his madhab, died out, okay? There's so many madhahib that were there that died out. We are ending up with 4, and now the Hanbali school is also, it's not too different from the Shafi'i school in the main subjects that we're going to talk about. So let's take a look at the Hanafi school. Number 1, the source is Quran. Number 2, the Sunnah, but the Mutawatir Hadith, now they do not use the amal of Ahl Medina. The amal that we talked about, the consensus of what the scholars of Medina do, is out. And what they do though, is they doubt the single hadith is not equal to a verse of Quran. It's not equal to a verse of Quran. It cannot offer exceptions to the Quran. We go now to Malik. The Quran and the Sunnah are of equal weight. Whether you bring me a verse of Quran or something from the Sunnah, it is equal. However, there's an addition. Namely, amal of Ahl al-Medina is superior to a single hadith. That means if all the scholars of Medina, of that 3rd generation, the Prophet said 3 generations, if they're all doing something, it's stronger than a hadith. Why is that? Because amalu alfin al alf khayru min riwayati wahid an wahid, which means the action of 1,000 people who have taken their action from another 1,000 people above them is superior to one narration from one. All right? A single narration. That means all these 1,000 people. The Prophet ﷺ said 3 generations, and he said Medina is like the kir, it's like the oven. It removes everything filthy from it. Like you take gold and you put it in an oven, in the fire, you pull it out. That's what Medina is like. All of these. So now, within 3 generations, are you going to tell me all of the people here are wrong? And they took their knowledge from Sahabas and from Tabi'een, right? And they're children of Sahaba, and they're servants of Sahaba, so they don't know what they're doing? No. What everyone in Medina is doing, among the scholars, what they agree on is stronger than any single hadith that you can give me. That is the logic of Malik. Now, Imam al-Shafi'i comes, he studies with both. He spends 9 years with Malik, and he goes to Kufa to debate and take down the scholars of Kufa. He gets there, and he finds these are excellent people with great knowledge. Okay? And what does he do? He makes a golden mean. He agrees with Malik on one thing, and he agrees with Abu Hanifa on a second thing. It gives us the golden mean. Okay? The problem is the Shafi'iyah. You cannot debate them. They'll always beat you in a debate. It's a big problem, these Shafi'iyah. Okay? This is why in our masjid, we have 3 fiqh classes going at once. We have the Maliki madhab, which is in the front. We have the Ahnaf in the back, okay? And then the Shafi'iyya on the side, but we put walls around them, okay? So no one hears their arguments, okay? Then we're not gonna have any students left. So what did he do? He agreed with Malik that the Sunnah is equal to the Quran as evidence. We're not talking about blessings here, we're talking about evidence. But he disagreed with Malik, and he agreed with Abu Hanifa upon the amal, about the amal. Amal Ahl Medina, we can't use that as evidence. We're not going to use that as evidence. So he clarified the matter. He said they're equal, but we're not using the amal. And that's why Shafi'i is defined as having the golden mean, right? The perfect and beautiful way of bringing these 2 opposing schools of thought into a middle. And you could imagine it, if you want to imagine it geographically, that Malik was in Medina, Abu Hanifa was up in Kufa, and Shafi'i was in the middle, in Egypt, where he died. Okay? And it's because of Shafi'i, because Imam Shafi'i said the sunnah, we need to restrict it to something crystal clear we could pass on to the generations. He said the sunnah is the single hadith. It's equal to the Quran. This is what inspired eventually the Sahih Hadith movement. It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around. They took the idea, came, and Imam Shafi'i was the spearhead of this idea that the sunnah must be crystal clear and it should be from the Sahih Hadith. And it's his students like Ishaq ibn Rahawayh who inspired Imam Bukhari to write his book, a book of only Sahih Hadith. If you look at the Muwatta of Malik, it's only 20% Hadith. The rest of it is sayings of the Salaf, sayings of the people of Medina, and the amal of Ahl Medina is in it. When Imam Malik narrates certain hadiths and he tells us, all right, وَمَا عَلَيْهِ عَمَلُنَا, what we do in Medina is this. That's the amal of Ahl Medina. And by the way, don't get fooled, ayyuha al-Malikiyya, don't get fooled and bullied when someone tells you, you guys Malikis, you do this, but the hadith is in the Muwatta. The opposite hadith, okay, is in the Muwatta. Well, a man came to Malik himself and he said that. He said, Imam Malik, why do you teach your people to do X, okay, but in your own book you said Y, hadith Y, you give the hadith in your book. Imam Malik says, لِأَلَّا يَظُنَّ جَاهِلٌ مِثْلُكَ أَنِّي لَمْ أَعْرِفُهُ, right, أو أني عملت بخلافه جهلا به, right, لئلا يأتيني جاهل مثلك فيظن أني عملت بخلافه جهلا به, right. He said, so no ignorant fool like yourself comes to me and says, here's a hadith. He's basically saying, I know the hadith, but I am preferring the amal of Ahl Medina over a single hadith, okay. That's why Malik has hadiths in his Muwatta that his fiqh doesn't act upon. And his fiqh is found in a book called Mudawwan of Sahnun. He has examples of that, all right? Example, the most popular example being clasping the hands or placing the hands down. And even someone who makes this a debate is so ignorant on fiqh, he doesn't know that hay'ah, how you pray, whether you put your hands and how you move your finger and how far you move your neck to the salams, none of that will make your salah better or worse. Okay? This is called hay'ah, and it's not in the obligations of prayer, it's not in the sunnahs of prayer, it's not in the minor sunnahs of prayer.